So what exactly is FinOps in Azure? I think a lot of people hear this and assume it's just another way of saying turn stuff off to save money. But the actual FinOps framework is quite different. It's really about creating a culture where business team, IT leadership, and the finance team come together to talk about cloud spending. Here's the problem most companies are facing right now. You've got a developer team who is spinning up resources in dev environment constantly because they need to move fast. Then you've got finance team looking at 80,000 bill and wondering what's going on here. And in the middle, you've got IT team spinning around trying to explain what a B series VM is to someone who just wants to know if you can actually afford it or not. In the old IT world, if somebody needs a new server, there would be a full procurement process in place. Forms, approvals, and weeks of waiting. Spending was definitely slow, but most visible. What you need to understand is in Azure, the friction is completely gone. A developer can spin up a VM instantly in Azure. There's no approval, there's no process. And maybe they forgot to turn it off. At the end of the month, you're looking at almost $500 of bill for a VM which is doing absolutely nothing. That is exactly what FinOps is doing. Trying to create a shared responsibility where everybody understands what they need to do in the cloud to avoid these uncertain costs. So people can understand the cloud spending and be more informed while they're working with cloud. So FinOps frameworks has three phases: inform, optimize, and operate. I'm going to walk you through what they look like in Azure, not from the FinOps Foundation website, but what actually works in production environment. Let's start with the inform first. You cannot optimize what you cannot see. And in the most Azure environment, as I start working with my clients, it sometimes gets really hard to understand what the client is spending their money on. They know the total bill, but they have no idea which department or which team is spending how much money. They don't know which projects are expensive, or even if they're spending the money where they're supposed to, or if they're just overpaying for resources that are not being used. So the first step is to get the visibility through these three things: Azure Cost Advisor, Cost Management, and finally the tagging. Let me jump over to the Azure portal and I'll show you what I mean. So this right here is Cost Management and the billing portal. I can see all my cost over time, and I can even break this down by services or by resource group. But without proper tagging, this data is pretty much useless. I can see that I spent so much money on VMs last month, but I don't know which team owns them or which product they are for. This is where the tagging comes in. Tagging is simply a key value pair that you assign on any resource or resource group. Department equals engineering, project equals customer portal, or owner equal to whoever is running the project. Once you have the tags in place, you can start slicing your cost using different groups and tags. Here's one thing that breaks with the tagging over time. It's actually getting people to use them consistently. I've been through some projects where we implemented proper tags for customers to keep their cost under control and the visibility to the highest, but after 6 months, they either stopped using the tags or most of the resources they would deploy would not have tags at all. The most common reason I've seen is developers. They are busy doing their work and have less time to focus on what tags to apply. So the stuff I've seen working to overcome this situation is Azure policy. You enforce the tagging at the platform level or on the subscription level. You make sure every resource deployment requires a certain tag, and anybody who is deploying the resource must go through the process of adding a tag. In the best case scenario, you can also have tags inherited from the resource group level. So any resource that goes into a specific resource group automatically gets all the tag that resource group has. The second part of Inform is setting up the budgets. Different people have different needs. Finance team need cost by departments and engineering team need cost by project. So we set up custom alert with the budget allocation to ensure if a budget hit 80% or 90%, there is a backend mechanism where an alert goes to a team and they can action and remediate the issue. With all this in place, spending becomes visible in real time, not at the end of the month. And the third tool is Azure Advisor. It analyzes your environment and give you cost recommendation. Any VM with unused resources, a disk which is orphaned, or any opportunity for reserve instances. So that's the informed phase. Visibility through tagging, cost reporting, and recommendation. Once you have all the foundation, you move to optimize. Now, the optimize phase is where you actually start making changes. And here's what most organizations get wrong. They think the optimization is a technical problem. Like if we'll just find a right VM size, we'll just save a bunch of money. But optimization is actually a business problem. It's about deciding what level of performance is acceptable at what cost. Let me give you an example. One of my clients was running an application on a standard D8 VM, 8 cores, 32 GB of RAM, and almost $400 a month. The advisor recommended to downgrade to D4 to save $200 because the CPU utilization was under 20%. But when I talked to the application owner, it turns out, and during the end of the month, even those 8 cores are not enough to run all the reports they need. So the decision is not should we save $200 and downgrade to a different SKU. The decision is it worth paying $200 extra to ensure our month-end report finishes on time? That is a business decision, not a technical decision. And this is what I mean by creating a shared language. Now we we can have a discussion between IT, business, and the finance team to discuss all the trade-offs. Maybe we keep the D8 size, maybe we downsize and accept the slower performance, or maybe we implement auto-scaling to ensure our system is at the appropriate size when we need it. But the important part is we can't have these discussions without the inform phase. So now there are some optimization which are no-brainer. Deleting unattached disks, stopping unused VMs, cleaning up the old snapshots, and removing any resources which you don't really need for the projects. I call these easy wins because there's no performance trade-off. You're just stopping paying for things which you are already not using. This is usually where I start because we can save almost about 500 to 5,000 depending on how many resources a client have. Okay, that's optimize, which leads us to operate. The operate phase is about putting the process together so FinOps become part of your organization process, not just one-off project. And this is the hardest phase because it requires changing how people work. So what I do with the client is set up regular FinOps review calls. Once a month, we get together with engineering, business team, finance team, and the business leaders. We review all the cost trends, discuss any optimization opportunities, and make decisions about budget. This is not finger pointing. Instead, it's about creating a forum where everybody has visibility and can contribute to the decisions. There's one more thing we do is set up automation. Stuff like dev test environments can be easily automated with setting up automation account with running PowerShell script that can easily shut down the VMs and turn them on depending on how you are using them. It can go to the extent of cleaning up the resources if they haven't been used for up to 60 or 90 days. The goal is to make the cost optimization a default behavior. Alright, coming back to everything, that's the FinOps framework. Inform through visibility, optimize through informed decisions, and operate through ongoing processes. But let me be honest with you on what stuff actually breaks in real world. And that's partly because I've done this for multiple clients and have seen a consistent pattern. Number one, the tagging strategy breaks. Everyone agree on tags and they do decide to implement them and tag all the resources. But nobody applies them after a couple of weeks. So you have to enforce them through Azure policy. The second is stakeholder engagement break. The kickoff meeting will go fine and everyone will be on the same page of what's more important. And 3 months later, you are the only one showing up in the monthly review. You need executive sponsorship to make this work. The third piece, your optimization backlog will definitely break. You will find maybe dozens or 2 dozens of changes that you need to make to fix your environment. Resize this, delete that, optimize that, upsize and downsize resources. Nothing will happen because everybody is so busy on their own work and feature changes. You need to actually allocate engineering time to optimize, or it's just a list that nobody cares to do. The last thing for the big organizations out there is the procurement cycle. Cloud spending is variable. The usage goes up and down every single day. But the traditional budgets assume that you know how much you are going to spend in the next 12 months. So now you've got this mismatch between finance department and the actual spending in the cloud. The way I have seen this work is adding some contingency to your cloud spending and actually educating your finance team on the cloud economics. But it definitely takes time. So I hope this gives you a realistic picture of what FinOps actually look like in cloud. It's not about installing a tool or following a checklist. It's about changing how your organization thinks about cloud spending. If you're watching this as a cloud leader, my advice to you is to start small. Pick one project or one department. Implement the inform phase first. Get the tagging right and get the visibility in place. And then start having regular reviews with your team. Prove the value in the one project and then move to other areas of your organization, because the alternative is you keep getting surprise bill in Azure and wondering where your Azure budget is going, and that's not sustainable. If this resonates with the challenges you're facing, I would love to know more about them in the comment section. What's your biggest FinOps challenge right now? Visibility, inform, adapt, or optimization? And if you are working on FinOps implementation right now, reach out to me. That's kind of the work I do for my clients and would love to know your problems and help you solve them. Again, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe if you like the video and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious and keep building.